Hi all, welcome to Beanie Composter. It's actually Boxing Day today, so if you have got a hot bin for Christmas, then hopefully you'll be able to get yours working just like we have, with lots of steam coming out, and we've got plenty of videos you can watch online so you can get yours working well. But if your hot bin is working well and you are making lots of nice compost from the hot bin, today's video is going to show you one species of plants that you should never use your Hotbin compost for. So today's video is going to be about carnivorous plants and why you should never use Hotbin compost for them. In the UK there's an advert by Christopher Ward that make watches, and at the end it says, "Never heard of us? Do your research." And I think when it comes to gardening, that's probably one of the things you need to definitely do to make sure you get the best out of your plants. Leading up to Christmas, John Lewis also had another advert out which was themed on the Venus flytrap, and I think B&Q jumped on the bandwagon with this one, because when we went into B&Q on Christmas Eve there were quite a few of them on the side in the reduced section, and they were dry, they looked like they were about, almost dying. And we've all done it, haven't we? We go into the garden centre or somewhere and you see a plant, you like it or you just want to have it, and you don't really know how to look after it or the best place to position it, and but you buy it anyway. So I think that's what's happened with, when I've looked at some of the reviews, people just bought the Venus flytrap, they have no idea about how to look after them. So I thought today, as I'm into the carnivorous plants a little bit now, I thought I'd give you some bullet points on how to look after them if you have gone out there or you've got grandchildren that wanted one and it's not really doing as well as you thought. So if you have bought yourself a Venus flytrap over Christmas and it's starting to die back, then don't worry about it. But there are certain things you need to do with this type of plant to make sure it does survive. The Venus flytrap originates from North and South Carolina in the United States of America, where it's in like boggy peat, sphagnum moss and sand soil, and it's always damp. That has hardly any nutrients in it, and that's why over time the Venus flytrap has evolved to grow these traps that trap insects, and that's where the plant gets all its nutrients from. So the soil actually doesn't provide any nutrients to the Venus flytrap, and that's why I'm saying, if you have bought one of these and you think it needs repotting on, or you think, oh, I've got a bit of leachate from my Hotbin compost, I'll give it a feed because it doesn't look very well, that's going to actually kill your plant. So never put anything like a feed or nutrients or soil from anywhere else apart from stuff that you've got for carnivorous plants, which you can actually buy online. So make sure you research that and get the right sort of soil if you do want to pot it on. To be honest, it wouldn't need really potting on for a couple of years, but anyway, if you do, then make sure you get the right stuff. Don't use anything from the Hotbin compost, not even the leachate. If you think, oh, it just needs a bit of a feed, I'll give it some nutrients, don't do that. Another thing, like I say, in the B&Q it was dry, which really a company like that shouldn't be, selling plants where they're not looking after them properly, I don't think. But anyhow, I see lots of plants getting wasted and destroyed just because they haven't been looked after. These need to be kept submerged in water, so they like a nice, an inch of water, especially in the summertime. They like their ankles wet but their knees dry, so sort of keep about an inch of water in there, especially in the summertime. Never let them go completely dry. And in the winter you can just have you know, a little bit of water, so they're just still damp all the time, but they don't need as much water in the winter time. But it's also important what sort of container you keep them into. Like if you've got them in a dish which is terracotta, then sometimes nutrients from the terracotta can actually leach into the soil and then cause the plant to die. And likewise, if you use tap water from your tap, there are chemicals and nutrients and bits and pieces that they put in the tap water that will eventually kill your Venus flytrap or Sarracenia, the pitcher plant, as well, if you're, you know, experimenting with those. So all these plants are kind of looked after the same way. What I do over winter, I keep them in a tiny bit of water, which is so that they never dry out, they're always moist. So if you have gone somewhere and you've seen one like I did in B&Q, get it home straight away and make sure you submerge it in some water so it can just absorb all that water and get nice and damp again, and keep it in water. Now, as I say, we're in December now, so carnivorous plants are also perennials, so that means they need to die back in the winter time, so they need a period of cold, and really that would be this sort of time of the year. Now, this isn't one that I bought from B&Q, this is a different type, but you can see it has been outside for a little bit. Now we keep it in the lean-to conservatory where there's no heating, but that's still going to be cold enough for it. But you can see it's starting to, you've got a few leaves here and there that are starting to die back. So this will eventually die back this year and start to regrow come the spring when there's more light and it heats up a bit. But one mistake people do make is they take it home, they just water it from the top and don't submerge it in water, and they also leave it in a warm windowsill where it doesn't actually get a chance to die back and, you know, have that state where it needs to go dormant. So if you have bought one and it looks like it's dying, as long as you've made sure it's you know, got the water and it's remains damp, even if it does die back, you can cut off like all the stuff that's dying back and keep it in somewhere cold. Even outside is fine, and most probably in springtime it is going to come back to life and start growing new traps. Now, another thing this requires is lots of sunlight. Where it actually originates from, there's no canopies that are, you know, blocking out the light, so it needs plenty of sunlight, normally about 6 hours of sunlight a day. So if you can bring them back indoors, make sure you still keep them in water, and also put it on a windowsill where there is plenty of light. Now, you don't need to feed it flies and that. I know kids love to put their fingers in and try to make the traps shut, but that actually stresses the plant out. So if you do keep it indoors, it will probably catch enough flies to feed itself, and you won't need to really give it any feed. So don't go stressing the plant out by putting loads of flies on it and closing every trap, because that just won't do it any good. It'll be happy sitting outside in the summer sunshine as long as you keep it submerged with some water. I've managed to get myself into the carnivorous plants now, and I really like the Sarracenia. I do like the Venus flytraps, and I have bought myself online some seeds which I've been storing in the fridge because that's what the person that sold them to me recommended, and said to sow them in January time. So you can follow us online as we sow these and see how they develop. And I know the channel is hot composting, but like I've said before, we're going to do a few different things on the channel, and one of them I'll be showing you me looking after the carnivorous plants, how they develop and what results we get from them. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe if you want to follow us on next year's journey into not just hot composting but also different stuff around the garden. Ultimately, whether it's hot composting or just general gardening, it's all about learning, enjoyment and just having fun. So whether it's about trying to get your hot bin nice and hot or keeping a Venus flytrap plant alive, then as I said at the beginning of the video, do your research and that will help you out loads. I hope this video has been enjoyable for some of you. Until next time, from me it's happy composting and enjoy, and from Mrs. B it's
a happy new year.
that's it then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a look to see what that looks like.
Did we say happy composting and enjoy?
I did, didn't I?
You did?
Yeah, and then you were supposed to say a happy new year. Don't forget to subscribe and.
I didn't know that I was supposed to say that.
Well, you could have said a little bit like that. Okay.
That's why I'm good at editing.
Yeah, but it's
That's
alright,
my
isn't
job.
it? It's alright. Let's have a look and see what that looks like.
Okay.